So you know how Zendaya went blonde for the whole Challengers method dress and premiere thingy? Yeah, exactly. Here we are today, all blonde and ready to talk about Zendaya red carpet outfits for the Challengers. Cuckoo, my name is Anastasiia and welcome to my YouTube channel. You have already figured from either this intro or the title of this video that we are going to be talking about the recent creation of Zendaya and Loro. Well, to be completely honest, it's not the recent in terms of they have created it earlier down the timeline, but it is the recent that we saw from them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I promise it will make more sense as we go on. But without further ado, there were quite a lot of outfits to talk about, so I suggest us keep going. So as you probably know, Challengers premiere were due to go earlier than June, which makes so much sense because comparing those two kind of method dressing rows, I would say that the Challengers one was far more underwhelming and discreet in comparison to the Dune one. So if they were to go back to back, it would make much more sense if the Challengers went first and the Dune went second, but then the things happened the way it happened, so we kind of ended up having the movie premiere slightly backwards, and so I feel like that affected our perception as celebrity style appreciators. Hence, a lot of people, and not gonna lie, I am amongst of those, are not very much so fond of the Challengers red carpet outfits as a whole. However, if there are one outfit I cannot under any circumstances say these things about, that would be this Loewe dress. The first actual dress she wore to the Challengers premiere in Sydney. I mean, it is obviously on theme. It has a little bit of a trompe-l'oeil effect on it, which imitates the shadow of a tennis player and the ball. I mean, you have probably figured it out, but we are talking about Challengers. I have already watched the movie. I would be referencing it where I feel like there are references so that the outfits would make more sense. Besides the obvious fact of the shadow of a tennis player and a ball, I feel like there are some extra meanings being layered on top of the ball, because in the end of the movie, like, there is this final match between Patrick Swayze and R. Donaldson, and the whole scene is actually shot from a point of view of a tennis ball that jumps across the court between the two players. So I feel like bringing this emphasis on the ball, actual tennis player is but a shadow, and like it is about tennis, not about who plays it. And that's kind of the whole philosophy of Tashi Duncan. Well, you know what I mean, the ball is important. Another discrete thing that makes a lot of sense about this outfit and a lot of other outfits to come is the fact that Zendaya is wearing Loewe. That is important because Jonathan Anderson was a costume designer for the Challengers, so Anyway, another outfit she wore while also in Sydney, I believe it was, a press event or something, is by Lacoste. It's obviously a brand which was first founded as a tennis player attire brand. So once again, the fact that she's wearing Lacoste and custom Lacoste at that is very much so on point. And I honestly haven't thought that Lacoste even does custom, but I guess anyone does custom for Zendaya. Then we had like a green row of outfits, starting with another one of my personal favorites out of this whole cycle, and I'm talking about this Louis Vuitton from the spring-summer 2013, which makes it Louis Vuitton by Marc Jacobs little coat, dress thingy. I'm a fan of the 60s, so is it really so surprising that I love Marc Jacobs and I loved what he did for Louis Vuitton? Hence, I obviously do like this outfit. That was exactly the point where they as in Zendaya and La Roche, started really pushing green, and not just any green. Later on, you will see that that would be a very particular shade of green. And if they're pushing it so far, I bet that would be the next it color. Moving on to the next Louis Vuitton look from Zendaya, because she's a Louis Vuitton ambassador. And in a nutshell, she was wearing Louis Vuitton, Loewe, and sometimes some sport brands like Lacoste. But anyway, back to this particular LV look. This one is not vintage, this one is custom, and I am not particularly a fan of this dress. However, I do understand where it is coming from. And if I show you the outfits, women used to play tennis back in 1920s, where the sport really started kicking it in among the upper class of societies, you would see an eerie similarities. Well, then again, Nicolas Ghesquière made this outfit a little bit more him and a little bit more coherent with his current collection for the Louis Vuitton, with this kind of exaggerated oversized belt. Once again, not a fan, but this is just Cat Louis Vuitton. The fact that I'm not a fan doesn't mean that they are not doing well, kind of well, considering that this his contract was prolonged for 5 more years just recently. But back to Loewe, we have this little tennis dress, but obviously this outfit is not about a tennis dress. It is all about those custom little tennis ball heels. They're fun, they're camp, and even as someone who is as far from this aesthetic as a person could be, I would wear those heels. They are managing to look chic while being absolutely ridiculous, which is a very difficult thing to do, if you ask me. But anyway, besides these shoes, she's also wearing this little tennis dress, which is kind of a mix in between how the tennis dresses look today. Also, like the v-neck kind of cable knit jumpers that once again used to be a part of a tennis uniform, but a little bit later, like in the 1930s. And then after that, they have been also incorporated into the whole Ivy League preppy style. So if you ever wondered why this school uniform has those contrast v-neck styles, they came from tennis. While in Italy, Zendaya wore this white Calvin Klein suit, and at first I was like, well, okay, the maxi skirt suit, what's so groundbreaking about it? But there is something groundbreaking about it, and that is the fact that this whole suit is made out of leather. Yeah, I know. I didn't see it too. And I think that the fact that it's made out of leather kind of adds to this whole idea of tennis becoming popular originally as a sport for the upper classes of the society who had money and who can spend it on things like leather suits that do not even look like leather. Well, that, and once again, white color also obviously being a traditional tennis color for this very same reasoning that while playing sports, you're wearing white, you're sweating a lot, you're getting dirty, and if you can afford washing these clothes again and again and again, that makes you have money, which makes the white color a differentiator between the upper class and the lower class of society. Moving on to the next premiere, we have this custom, if I remember correctly, this is a custom Thom Browne dress, and once again, if my memory serves me well, I'm pretty sure that Thom Browne had his own history with tennis, and I mean both Thom Browne as a person. Like, I remember reading somewhere that he used to play both tennis and do swimming, but still, he used to play tennis. And I'm also pretty sure that Thom Browne as a brand has like a separate line that makes like tennis uniform, the bags, the stuff. So the fact that Zendaya Laroche picked this brand makes sense. Also, like one of the things that I love the most about them, it's not only what she is wearing in terms of the dress fitting the theme, but also who she is wearing, like what brand she's wearing, and that also have to make sense. So that is great. That is really cool. But yeah, once again, it's a halter dress with a pleated skirt, which once again reminds me a lot of the 1920s tennis uniform outfits for women. And then it is kind of embroidered in a whole lot of little rockets, which is cute, and has Thom Browne stripes on the bottom of the dress, which is, brand's marker. Also, she is wearing like an iconic Tashi Duncan hairstyle. This is a hairstyle that she was wearing when she was playing tennis, like for the matches. I love that they have replicated it here. Another little vintage woman, spring summer 1994 from Vivienne Westwood. I believe this look also had a jacket. She shaded it here, which makes sense because I feel like they have been trying to draw attention to this little furry thingy, which is not a tail, it is a bustle. Well, it is a variation of bustle, how Vivienne Westwood saw it fit. And yet again, the idea of bustle, upper classes of society, tennis being a sport of bourgeoisies, and yada yada. You know the drill at this point. We had this Brunello Cucinelli look she wore for a tennis match in Monte Carlo. Once again, lock skirt, 1920s tennis, and then a very much so traditional part of the uniform, which is a white cable knit. All made sense. And white Louboutin heels, which she didn't take off during the whole premiere. And then for the same match, she changed the outfit and wore this custom dress by the brand called On. Obviously, it is a tennis-related outfit, but what is important about it is that this particular outfit is an homage to a tennis player, Althea Gibson, and This is, well, very much so direct recreation of one of her outfits, which she left to a museum. Hence, they were able to recreate it not only from the photos, but from the actual garment. Next, we moved into the Milan, and at this point of time, it started to become itty tiny bitty boring because here we have Ralph Lauren little white dress with Louboutin pumps. And then we had this 16 Arlington little white dress. While technically both of the dresses are lovely and nice and on theme and make sense in terms of challenges premiere, it is just getting repetitive. The fact that she's wearing like the same shoes and mostly the same jewelry and hairstyle while in one city doesn't help the situation whatsoever, because it just feels like a try on of the dresses, if you know what I mean. Moving on to my list, very much so, unfortunately, favorite outfit the whole challenger cycle, and this proud title goes to this Vera Wong very much so ball gown she wore to a premiere in LA. It's either me not understanding something about the world, which very much so might be so, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of new out of this world style and trick. Maybe La Roche was channeling his inner Nicolas Jasquier. I don't know what's happening here, but I know that I do not understand it. Because how is this ball gown can be even remotely related to the Challengers movie? While I saw these photos, I've decided to give it a benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, well, maybe it is channeling a very particular and very important moment from the movie, recreating it. Maybe there is a charity ball or something, and she's wearing a very similar dress, or maybe this dress exactly in the movie. And no, she's not. She's not wearing anything remotely similar in the movie, and no, there is not any events and galas, and she's not wearing a ball gown this huge anywhere in the movie. The only thing that can be even remotely referenced here is the fact that the upper half of the dress had this kind of lingerie built-in corset, and actually the first time we see Zendaya in the movie, she's wearing like a black lacy lingerie set. That might be it, but honestly, this argumentation sounds weak even to my own ears. Have I just said that the Vera Wong dress was my least favorite? It has to be the second least favorite. The cake just has to go to this custom Celia Crit Harrioti, a little dress. You know what? Just recently I have been contemplating this line between like high fashion and costume camp. You know what? This is the line. The tennis ball on the stomach of the dress is exactly the line. And maybe they themselves realized that they were kind of, overkilling it with camp a little bit, because the next thing we saw from them was pretty much so iconic, like not even in the contrast to the previous stomach thingy, but like in general. The dress, the photo shoot, the Zendaya, everything is perfect, everything is beautiful here, but what is even more important is the fact that this photo is a recreation of the one of Serena and Venus Williams that were done back in 1999, I believe, for Vogue. They're also wearing the Carolina Herrera dresses over there, which James Gordon and the team recreated for Zendaya here. And I mean, I obviously do not need to explain any more details about the tennis context here. Okay, couple more looks to go through, starting with this Jacquemus custom one. I feel like they were going for the 1960s theme yet again, while also tying it up to the recent Jacquemus collections, because, well, while we didn't have these dress exactly, we had a very similar one with like different top, but here they made it to a little polo, and they also made it pink, which is very much so appreciable because, first of all, we have already seen a whole lot of white dresses, and then I think that pink, especially like this lighter pink color, also became kind of a staple in the tennis fashion, especially when it comes to the polo shirts. This is the airport outfit. I'm not gonna dwell on it because there is nothing really to talk about here, but one particular item, and that is the I Told Ya t-shirt, which is very important for the movie. Yes, Tashi Duncan is wearing it, then Patrick is wearing it. This short kind of goes through a couple of different conflicts. Well, important for the storyline conflicts. Once again, they were both wearing it in these scenes were groundbreaking for the relationship of the three main characters. Let's say revelations were happening. So that is cool. Ooh, I really like this one. I feel like it's not talked about enough in this kind of fashion roast and review videos, because this dress is actually not by any brand. This is like a vintage 1930 dress which was legit found on the bottom of a trunk, and then they found it, they loved it, they dyed it this very much so, once again, particular tennis court shade of green, and it became my third favorite look, just like that. So much better than the very long ball gown. The last outfit I'm gonna be mentioning here today is what I call in my head a poster look, because you know, it's a poster. This is a custom creation by, once again, Celia Creed-Harrioti. So the same brand who created the green tennis ball on the stomach dress. So that made me think that probably the whole brand is kind of about the campy stuff. However, I feel like with the tennis ball, they kind of went a little bit overboard here. I see the appeal, like I see the fashion camp side of the things, and that makes it funny. I mean, it is obviously ridiculous. It is a poster, but I feel like what makes it even more ridiculous is the fact that on the poster for the movie, we have a face of Zendaya. Like the whole poster is basically her face. And then she's wearing the poster, so she's wearing her face. So she's basically wearing a dress with her face on top of it. This amount of ridiculousness is exactly what makes it this high fashion camp. Because honestly, how many people do you know that could wear something with their face beaded on it and still look cool and chic and make sense in a context? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, those are gonna be all of the red carpet outfits that Zendaya wore around the Challenger's premiere method dressing cycle. So let's do the favorites. I feel like it's kind of gonna be obvious because I have been mentioning them while we were going on, but I'm definitely putting the first Loewe by Jonathan Anderson plug green dress in here. I'm putting this 1930s no-name vintage remake dress, and I'm putting Louis Vuitton by Marc Jacobs little green and white coat slash dress in here. So with that being said, if you have enjoyed this video, you can show me your support and appreciation by subscribing to the channel or leaving me a like. And also check out my other social medias if you like the vibes. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one. So bye!